and it's go. A great start from Hackler. No pressure on his shoulders at all. He drives away. Gilles Groschkamp, one of the most experienced in this field, straight on his tail. But remember, at the moment, it's not necessarily the battle for the win that we're looking for. It's the battle for that third spot. So if we drop 2 cars back, 1, 2, 3, there we go. There's our third place runner. Lamberto Collari got a good start. He is in fact attacking Groschkamp straight from the start. And right up behind him is Tony Gruber in car 6, who's made an excellent getaway. He's really launched up into that battle for third, and Groschkamp, if anything, is a little bit of a cork in the bottle on that first lap. He hasn't got up to speed quite as well. There's one car that I think had a really bad start. I think that's Marcus Hellquist, who's a long way back already. Oliver Mack also looks like he got caught in some problems as well. As the leaders come round again, it's Hackler who's made a great start. He was on super quick form in the Super Pole yesterday. All 4 of those drivers logging 26.3 second laps. And if you can do that across a consistent race distance, they'll be in contention to win it overall. But Groschkamp at the moment is definitely a cork in the bottle. These guys are backing up behind him. Collari, Gruber, Carmen Riola's in there, and Francesco Tironi. This is quickly developing into a pain train, and I think Max Cast has flamed out on the far side. That'd be a real shame if the reigning Champions Day ended like this. Meanwhile, Collari's through, and Groschkamp was trying to fend off Gruber around the outside there, but he stuck true. Groschkamp's lost a ton of positions. He is not running fast at all at the moment. He was the cork in the bottle. As soon as one guy went past, a whole train of them has slipped through. Tironi's gone by now. He's going to be down in 6th place now. Meanwhile, the 2 cars we're watching now are 2nd and 3rd, Lamberto Collari and Tony Gruber. Gruber will be a bit of a surprise if he makes it to the final. He's kind of snuck in out of nowhere, trying to tuck up the inside, trying to sneak in. Looking for the pass either way. All these guys getting ultra aggressive at this point. There's no room for error. There's no room for backing off. They've seen in the previous finals and in previous events that they've done, previous championships that they've won, that sometimes just settling for 3rd is not good, especially if you have an issue on your car. You want to bank it, you want to make that transfer certain, and you want to do it in the most clinical way possible. At the moment, Gruber and Collari are making bank on the field. They're starting to move away. Gruber's actually trying to make the pass on the Collari, I think. There's a little bit of a cork in the bottle thing, but both of them are lapping a little bit faster than Carmen Riola in 4th spot, who has actually dropped 4th spot to Francesco Tironi, his countryman. As the breeze is really picking up, that will affect the handling of these cars, especially down that long back straight. That'll be where it really comes into play, if it's blowing crosswind. Collari stretching out a little bit on Gruber. Both of these guys stretching out their advantage on Raiola, who's back in 4th. They're exchanging positions back and forth, coming through the double apexes and then across the start-finish line once more. And I think Max Day is done there. His European Championship defence is over. And what a shame it had to end like this. He knew it was always going to be an uphill struggle, but he gave as good as he got. And that's about as much as you can ask from any European champion. Meanwhile, still out on the track are Collari and Gruber. These guys are starting to fade a little bit behind Silvio Hackler, a confident young Swiss star, countryman of our TQ and reigning world champion Simon Kurzbuch, who goes into the final as the overwhelming favourite. And in this sort of ultra-competitive field, that is saying a lot. But these 2 are 2nd and 3rd right now. And who's that just in front of them who's come back out? I think that's Gilles Groschkamp, who I think has been in the pits early. He either made an early pit stop or has just fallen that far behind. I can't imagine he's just fallen. Oh, contact there. Gruber with a touch. Let's drop back onto the orange car of Gruber. Just one car back. That car, there it is. There's the 3rd place car. And he was challenging Collari there for the position. The move didn't work out. The move didn't stick. So he continues on his way, but he's still got a decent gap to Carmen Riola, and that's important. Riola challenging for the last of those automatic transfer spots. Remember, Riola and Tironi, as it stands, are the 2 in the 4th or 5th, the kind of the limbo trap, if I call it. So they'll be the ones waiting nervously on the race times for the next race. And Gruber is in the pit lane. And Riola and Tironi, neither of them have pitted. Actually, that's Nicholas Johansson who's up there now. Tironi, I think, has pitted. Yes, he has. Tironi has just pitted around the same time as Gruber. So Gruber is now behind Carmen Riola on the track. Quite a way behind Carmen Riola. And he's actually behind Nicholas Johansson, who's been going very strongly so far. One of the transfer runners. Remember, Mack was one of those. It didn't work out quite as well. Andy Moore is not far behind either. This is an ultra-competitive field. There's Tony Gruber. Scored that time across the line in 5th spot. The man just in front of him is Johansson. So these 2 are just on your screen, or Gruber's on your screen, and the car just in front of him are 4th and 5th. 3rd place, Carmen Riola will come in for a pit stop. fairly soon. I'll keep my eyes on him whilst we watch Gruber. Well, we watch Johansson and Gruber. They're not too far behind. Here comes Raiola for his stop. And does Johansson come in as well? Yes, he does. So that turns third place back over to Gruber. And I think, if anything, he's made a gain. That's a good pit stop. And Gruber continues on his way, and I think he's actually jumped up to second ahead of Lamberto Collari. I think Collari's not had a great stop. I'll just check to get an idea as he comes around again, but I think the next car behind Gruber, who we will drop to on the start-finish straight, Jan, is the white car of Lamberto Collari. Down on the front straight now. There he is, into the first turn. There's Collari, who's now showing third. Another veteran, another guy with a supreme amount of experience in scale RC racing and in the nitro classes. Collari on the march for another final appearance. Down the back straight, through the banking, once again, tight to the apexes, or as tight as possible with the HPI hairpin. Huge amount of Gs must be being generated down here from those scale bodies, especially in scale dimension. Hackler, meanwhile, is in a world of his own. He's up 4 seconds over Tony Gruber, which is a yawning chasm considering the quality of this field. But Gruber has done a very solid job so far, I have to say. He'd gone kind of a little bit unnoticed, I have to say, through qualifying. He's there or thereabouts, very solid, but hadn't really attracted a huge amount of attention. And he's up there in second, and he's looking good to move into the final. Could he be the Merlin Depta story of this year? Meanwhile, Collari on his way. It'll be a shock if you didn't see him in the final. But this has been the sort of roster. It's been such a talented stack of guys in this field this year. 54 drivers total, not the biggest amount, but a high-quality field. And there's easily been more than 10 guys who can win this thing outright. We're watching one of them right now. Lamberto Collari of Italy. He's got 2 of his countrymen behind him, Carmen Raiola and Francesco Tironi. And they are measuring out at about 3.9 seconds down the road. So Collari's lead, not a huge one. I mean, it's sizable enough. It's good, don't get me wrong. But it is still susceptible, especially if there's a flame out, especially if there's an issue. That's where something could really occur. I have to say, Groskamp is down in 9th at the moment, not really in contention in this race, which is a real shame. I think something was wrong with his car from the moment it hit the track in warm-up, and I don't think it's improved since then. I think he had to take that early pit stop to fix things, and that's put him behind the 8 ball. Mack well out of it, so we will have a new champion this year. Collari continues to navigate the corners very, very well. He's got into a nice groove. This is what you want as a race driver in a major final event, be it a semi-final or the final itself. You want to have that sort of gap so you can just focus. There's no one in your peripheral vision. There's no one in front, no one behind. Obviously, if there's no one in front, you're generally leading the thing. But in this case, Gruber is just far enough up the road that he's not being distracted by thoughts of chasing him down too much. And just having a look, it's always a little bit anxious when you hear some shouts from pit lane. Someone is in the lane. Now, who's that? Is that Tony Gruber who's in the pits? No, it's car 6, which was Tony Gruber. It is Tony Gruber. So Gruber's just had a pit stop. Is that on schedule? I guess we'll now find out. He's just ahead of Carmen Raiola. So, Jean, if we can wait in that segment there for these two to come round. The next 2 cars in your shot will be Gruber and Raiola. There they are. The orange car leading is Gruber. And then just behind him is Carmen Raiola. Gruber has just pitted. So this should probably be on schedule. Raiola is not far behind him. Raiola is very close. This is the battle for third. Gruber now holds it after that pit stop. Raiola is within touching distance, as is Nicholas Johansson. That'll be some story if he can make the double transfer into the final. Very Merlin Depta style. Through the S's goes Gruber. Does a little bit of a gap on Raiola, which I think will be trying to put pressure on him before he makes his stop. But I wonder if Gruber had a little bit of a truncated pit stop, and that's what's put him down a little bit. I'll keep my eyes open as well for when Collari hits pit lane, as well as Silvio Hackler. Hackler has increased his advantage out to 6 seconds, 6.1 seconds over Lamberto Collari in second now, so he's logging laps on his own, and well, he's in a world of his own in terms of pace. Gruber working hard to keep his advantage over Raiola, and Johansson, of course, he's trying to chase down and maintain that second spot that he had over Collari when Collari pitted in. And Collari round the banking at the far end. I can just tell you he's not too far ahead, but we'll just stick with Gruber for now. Clipping those apexes really sharp, right on the button. He's getting it just right. So, Kalari's in now. Kalari's in. And as we follow Gruber around, I can tell you he's blown straight back by. Straight back up into second place goes Gruber. And Lamberto Kalari is back out. So, when we come up to the EFRA hairpin, John, if we wait there, not the first car through after Gruber, the second car, the all-white car, will be our third place runner, Kalari. There he is. So Kalari shuffles back to third in the pit cycle. But he's in a pretty confident spot either way because he is some distance ahead of the next car down the road, which I think is Francesco Tironi now. So Kalari comes across the line this time. Kalari back to third. And Kalari looking very, very good for an appearance in the final again. Francesco Tironi has indeed moved up to fourth. He is showing as 4.1 seconds down on Kalari, which is some significant distance, but it's one that can evaporate in a heartbeat if something happens to Kalari. If he makes a mistake, if he has a flip, which you've seen, these rumble strips are very unforgiving, and he clips one just as I say it. You're taking every inch of road, but especially those ones on the outside of the corners, on the fast, flat-out segments, like that right there, couldn't have been better timed. I think Kalari is trying to demonstrate just how risky they are without actually flipping over. But if he hits one of those at the wrong angle, flips over, gets turned turtle, then he's in a world of trouble. And that's exactly what Tironi will be hoping for. Oh, a big slide. They're working these things really hard right now, stressing the foam tyres, the control tyres to their limit. Kalari working very hard as the breeze picks up again. That shouldn't be affecting them too much. We'll just buff at the cars a little bit, especially down this back straight. It's like a flying down the back, up to 70 miles an hour, maybe faster, through the banking, still not braking till there. The HPI hairpin, one of the great sequences of corners in RC racing. Through the final segment of the track, we're just under 8 minutes to go. It is still Silvio Hackler leading to give Switzerland both its drivers representation in the final, along with TQ and world champion Simon Kurzbuch. Second is still Toni Gruber, the German, who's had a low-key weekend, but has ran a picture-perfect race so far, a textbook race so far. And now we're watching this man in third place, Lamberto Kalari, who is also driving a really neat and tidy race. And in fact, that's Toni Gruber he's just come out in front of. These pit strategies are going to sync up, you know. I have a feeling, though, that Gruber might be running something similar to what Oliver Mack ran in the quarterfinal and may have to require a late pit stop of his own, in which case that's going to put him right back in the mix with Tironi, Raiola, Moore and those guys. So there's Gruber. He's driving incredibly hard. Remember, he will be we're expecting Kalari in any minute for a pit stop. It seems to be like a shorter stop, or maybe Gruber just worked out the best laps around here and is putting his best laps in of the session. Kalari up through the EFRA hairpin, down the back straight. Once again, Gruber has dropped off a little bit. Kalari, I think Kalari's being recovered and trying to look out over the track. And now we follow Kalari. Kalari, who still has a pit stop to go. And we think, we're not sure, but we think that Toni Gruber might have one to go as well. So it might be worth, once Kalari has his stop, to keep following Toni Gruber. Because if he has to pit again, that puts him right back in the hornet's nest with Raiola, Tironi, and even Marcus Hellquist. Andy Moore has dropped to 7th a little bit now. Groskamp now up to 8th after Nicholas Johansson has fallen back now. Kalari still 2nd, Gruber still 3rd. Raiola, as we tick into the final 6 minutes. Raiola is 9 seconds down on these guys. 9 seconds down on Gruber. If Gruber has to make a second stop, no wonder he's driving so fast. If he knows he has to make another stop compared to everyone else, then he is going to have to drive so fast to make up that time. He's going to lose about 5-6 seconds minimum in the pits, maybe more, depending on the level of fuel being put in. And we are watching Kalari right now. He's the second place car. John, if we could just drop back one car, that's it. We're watching Toni Gruber now, the third place car. This is the guy I want to pay close attention to because, as I say, he's running third right now. He should be running second once Kalari has his final stop, but we're not sure if this guy still has another stop to make as well. He's on the same number of pit stops so far, but he's been pitting earlier in a manner that makes me think he's running a similar strategy to Mac was in the quarterfinal. Through the EFRA hairpin, down the back straight again. The speed is enormous for these cars down the back. As he's still within touching distance of Kalari. He's not letting him out of his sight. And Kalari has just come into the pit lane, so that'll turn over second place to Gruber. But I am going to say, let's keep some close attention on Gruber. As I'm just keeping an eye on Kalari. He's just gone back out there. He's largely unchallenged for the moment. Gruber has got a little bit of lap traffic to deal with Marcus Hellquist, who deals with him very, very well behaved. Lap traffic. We do not want these races decided by lap car intervention. We want them to be as fair a fight as possible. So Gruber is second. 1.5 seconds down on Silvio Hackler. He's really not that far behind our leader at all. He's kept on a comparative pace, but remember, we are potentially anticipating one more stop for Gruber. Meanwhile, Kalari is scored at 9 seconds ahead, 9.5 seconds ahead of Francesco Tironi in fourth. Tironi may think that Kalari is too far gone, but maybe all eyes now are on this man Gruber. He's been setting a great pace in this race. It'll be a real shock if he makes the final. It'll be an underdog victory par excellence to make the final. He's driving an orange car, much like Merlin Depter, in fact, his countryman. Through the S-Bends once more. Does he have to take one more stop? And if he does, when does he take it? There he does. Now here's his final stop. Now this is where things get very, very interesting. We're watching out for car number 5, Francesco Tironi. He's back out there, and I think he's safe. I think he's safe. Because I think Gruber has easily got an advantage. I can't see anyone near him. In fact, I can see Kalari's car just behind him. So I don't know if Kalari had to pit again as well. We'll see as they come across the timing line this time. But Gruber has taken what will definitively be his final stop. As they come across the timing loop again, where is Gruber scored at? He scored second, 7.0 seconds down. Kalari is third, 8.4 seconds down. So let's see if we can find Lamberto Kalari. He'll be 2 cars behind Gruber, Jan. So if we wait in the banking, the first white car that goes by is not him. Second white car, that's our guy, Lamberto Kalari. He's our third place runner, and I think the pit strategy has worked out just fine, because even after all that, he's still showing he's about 12 seconds up on Carmen Riola. And these guys set such a strong pace up the front that even with any additional pit stops, they've still got a healthy advantage. Kalari scored at about 1.9 seconds behind Gruber. But both of these guys have driven really, really good races, you know. Very, very sensible, spot on strategically. They've known when to push. They've pushed pretty much the entire race, but they've got it right. They have been consistently strong. They've not made mistakes. And if you're going to pull a strategy like that, which involve additional pit stops, that's exactly what you need. Carmen Riola and company, in the end, just not able to keep up the charge. But there's still time enough for something to happen. We all know 100 seconds is an absolute eternity in RC racing. Through the S section again. Merlin Depter's just having a cheeky look over our shoulder as well. It's amazing how many of the drivers not in these races come up here and also have a watch of the other races, see what they're going, see if they can crib something on their rivals. But just because they're also RC enthusiasts of their own. They are fans of the business in their own way. So Kalari is not far off. He's about 2.5 seconds down on Gruber. He's losing time to him, but it doesn't matter one jot, because crucially, the only gap that matters to him is the one that says 12 seconds up the road from Carmen Riola. 60 seconds to go then. Gruber and Kalari, you think of fuel to the end, so they shouldn't have any issues with flame outs here near the end, unless something else mechanically goes wrong. Glow plug comes out maybe. Hackler is quite a distance up the road now. He's 6.3 seconds up the road and has led this race from start to finish, flag to flag, in an exemplary performance. Gruber has had a good drive as well. Underneath us once again comes Kalari through the first turns, 30 seconds to go. It's Hackler, Gruber and Kalari that look like they will move through into the main final coming up later this afternoon. Hang on a minute though. Wait a minute, a late twist coming down into the pit lane, Jan. Number 1, Silvio Hackler has flamed out. This is a dramatic late twist. And suddenly, this turns things completely on its head. Hackler, the car has been put back in the lane. It's not firing. It is not firing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. So back out on the track, we found Tony Gruber, who's the man who's going to inherit the win in this race. What a heartbreaking turn of events. I told you it wasn't over. I told you 100 seconds is an absolute eternity in RC racing. So what that means is that Tony Gruber has inherited the win. He ran a solid race to second. Lamberto Collari will cross the line to take second, 2.3 seconds down. And where's Carmen Riola? Carmen Riola into third and across the line to take it. What an amazing turn of events. Absolute heart stopper. So there's your result from semi-final one. An absolutely dramatic denouement. I cannot believe what I've just seen. Silvio Hackler had that one wrapped up for all the world. He led it first flag to almost last, and yet had a flame out with about 30 seconds to go. 30 seconds to go. And in the end, it's Tony Gruber, Lamberto Collari and Carmen Riola who go through. And then make a note of those times there. It's Francesco Tironi and Marcus Hellquist, 4th and 5th. They'll be waiting on the race times for the 4th and 5th place finishers of semi-final 2.